I had been dating her for 6 months before I realized she had no idea who I actually was. Her name was Claire. I met her at a coffee shop on Clement Street in San Francisco. She left her umbrella on the back of a chair and I grabbed it for her before she walked out into the rain. That was how it started. That's the story we told people. That part is true. What I never told anyone is what came before it. I'd seen Claire for the first time 3 weeks earlier, not in person. Her Instagram was public. A friend of a friend had liked one of her photos and it appeared in my feed the way things do now, algorithmically, randomly. She had that kind of face that makes you stop scrolling. I looked at her page for maybe 20 minutes. Nothing unusual. People do that. But then I looked again the next day. And the day after, she posted consistently. Morning coffee, always from the same place. A shop with a teal awning visible in the background. A gym on Geary. A bookstore she went to on Saturdays. She tagged her locations without thinking about it the way people do when nothing bad has ever happened to them. I found the coffee shop on Google Maps in about 4 minutes. Went there on a Tuesday, sat by the window. She wasn't there. Went back Thursday. She wasn't there either. I told myself I'd go one more time and that would be the end of it. She walked in on a Saturday. I had her umbrella ready in my hands before she even sat down. I picked it up from a lost and found bin near the door. There were 3 umbrellas in there. I took a black one that looked generic enough. When she stood to leave, I was already beside her. "Hey, I think you forgot this." She laughed and said she hadn't even had an umbrella with her. I said someone had turned it in and pointed at her table. She paused, looked at it, said it looked like one she'd lost a month ago. She thanked me. That was the beginning. We dated easily. She was warm, funny, overly trusting in the way that people are when the world has only ever confirmed that trust. She introduced me to her friends within a month. I met her mother over video call by month 3. Everyone liked me. I was patient and attentive, and I remembered small details, her preferred brand of tea, the anniversary of her grandmother's passing, the name of the childhood dog she mentioned once in passing. I remembered everything because I had been paying attention long before she knew I existed. The first time I almost said too much was in October. We were driving back from dinner, and she mentioned she'd been thinking about leaving San Francisco. I said, "You'd miss the bookstore on Irving." She went quiet for a second, and then she said, "I don't think I ever told you about that place." I said she must have. She accepted it. The second time was worse. We were in bed, half asleep, and she mentioned she used to run at Crissy Field before she hurt her knee 2 years ago. And without thinking, I said, "Before the fall or after?" And she sat up slowly and looked at me and said, "What fall?" I told her she'd mentioned it. She said she was certain she hadn't. I said memory is funny, and she lay back down and I felt her stay awake for a long time. I know she started to feel it around month 5. The way she'd pause mid-sentence and look at me. The way she stopped tagging locations on her posts. Once she mentioned she'd tried to remember telling me something, had actually gone back through her text to check, and hadn't found it. She started leaving her phone face down when I was around. The last thing she said to me, the night before she ended it, was this. She said she felt like she was always catching up with me. Like I had already read the last page of a book she was still reading. I didn't say anything. She ended things on a Sunday morning. She was kind about it, which was the worst part. She said she cared about me, but something felt off and she needed to trust that feeling. She said she hoped I understood. I said I did. I've been thinking about it ever since. Not about losing her. About the fact that in 6 months, she never once asked how I always knew. She never asked how I knew about the bookstore. She never asked how I knew about the fall. She never asked how I had that umbrella ready. She just felt that something was wrong and she left. And I think about how close she came to asking the right question. I think about what I would have said. I still don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that her Instagram is private now, but she approved my other account.